I'm going to give you a brief overview of the event, walking you through the agenda and giving a short introduction on OUCRU. So each year we host this open day to share more about who we are, what we do, and the exciting opportunities available through our PhD program. Through this event, we aim to share detailed information about our PhD training program and scholarships, and to create more opportunities to connect with talented candidates for our research projects and other research positions. OUCRU, which stands for Oxford University Clinical Research Unit, was first established in 1991 and hosted by the Hospital for Tropical Diseases in Ho Chi Minh City. In the very beginning, we were just a malaria unit, but we have significantly expanded over time. OUCRU currently has 10 research groups along with several supporting departments. We also have sister units in Jakarta and Nepal. Our work primarily focuses on biomedical research, clinical trials, and related fields in collaboration with the Hospital for Tropical Diseases in Ho Chi Minh City and the National Hospital for Tropical Diseases in Hanoi. Our mission is to make a positive impact on public health, particularly in the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of tropical infectious diseases in Vietnam and the wider region. In addition to research, we prioritize and focus on building capacity for local human resources. OUCRU offers opportunities for young researchers in Vietnam and Indonesia through the International PhD Training Program for international research degrees. So now let me walk you through today's agenda. We begin with a 10-minute video about OUCRU, giving you a glimpse into our journey and impact. Next, Dr. Lee Jones, our regional academic training leader for OUCRU and MORU, will provide an overview of the OUCRU PhD program. Following that, we hear short presentations from representatives of OUCRU Hanoi, OUCRU Indonesia, 10 OUCRU research groups, and the clinical trial unit. Then we'll lighten things up with a fun poll where you can vote for your favorite group. After the poll, we'll show a video highlighting OUCRU's culture and training environment. We are also excited to have Dr. Huyen and Dr. Khan, two of our current PhD students, share their personal journeys and experiences in the program, so you can get a real feel for what it's like to be a part at OUCRU. And finally, we'll wrap up with Q&A session. So to ensure everyone can hear clearly, our IT team will keep you muted during the session. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. I'll do my best to answer them, and Dr. Lee Jones will address them during the Q&A session. So let me hand over to Dr. Lee Jones.
Thank you very much, Kim, and welcome to everyone today. My name is Lee Jones. I'm the Regional Academic Training Leader for OUCRU, as well as MORU, which is our sister unit in Thailand. But today we'll be focusing purely on OUCRU. You've already had a nice introduction to the history of our OUCRU program across Vietnam, Indonesia, and in Nepal. But what I'm going to do first is to give you a short tour of our OUCRU sites across Vietnam and Indonesia.
Hey, Chi.
Hey, Guy. Good to see you. Where are we right now?
So we're at the Hospital for Tropical Diseases.
So what's so special about this place?
The Hospital for Tropical Diseases is a 550-bed hospital just for infectious diseases. It's probably one of the largest infectious disease hospitals in the world. And it's where OUCRU is. So come with me.
Wow, that's a huge building. What's in here?
So this is OUCRU. This is OUCRU's home. There are about 300 people working in here. We're part of the Hospital for Tropical Diseases. Let's go. Hey, Yui.
Hi.
What are you up to?
I'm doing some DNA extraction for Klebsiella pneumonias for whole genome sequencing. That is resistant to Cap-Vietnamese and colistin that we collected from the Hospital for Tropical Diseases.
So this is the enemy, really, isn't it? And I think it's really useful to have a look at the enemy in the eye every morning, don't you think?
Yeah, this is true anyway. This is my motivation for my research, and that's why I have spent so many years to try to understand them.
Are there any machines to help improve the efficiency of your work?
Well, there are, yes, and that's whole genome sequencing. So I think we should go and have a look at that facility now. Should we go, Yui?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go. So Yui, this is one of our MySeq Illumina sequences. What are you doing with it here?
So I'm working on a whole genome sequencing of Klebsiella pneumonias. So not only is we are doing the sequencing for drug-resistant bacteria, but also for emerging viruses, parasites as well.
Yeah, so those two things are really important for OUCRU's research. Emerging infectious diseases, drug-resistant infections, and the ability to sequence is really, really important to be able to understand how the bugs cause disease, but also how they spread around the communities.
I've heard that there are some really special labs here at OUCRU.
There are. There's the Biosafety Level 3 laboratory and the SAPO 4 laboratory. Some of the only labs like this in Vietnam, so we ought to go and have a look at them.
Wow, this looks like a highly secure place. So what really goes on in here?
So this is for very dangerous pathogens and for dangerous animal viruses, and there really aren't any laboratories like this in the rest of the country.
Can we go in?
No, you can't go in there, I'm afraid. You've got to have special training to be able to get in there, which is something that OUCRU invests a lot of time in doing.
Since we are in a hospital, do these research go to the field?
There's a really strong link between these laboratories and the hospital. The labs are here because of the patients. So at this point, I think we need to go and speak to Dr. Ian and see the hospital.
Hi, Dr. Yin.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I am Lâm Minh Yến. I have been working with emerging infection group of OUCRU from 2016.
So where are we now?
Now I am in front of ICU department of Hospital for Tropical Disease.
Can we go in and take a look?
Not before you get the proper protection. Dr. Quang Minh will show you inside in the ICU.
Are there any new features being added to the ICU recently?
So OUCRU provide the wearable machine where so we can monitor the patient and many modern ICU beds.
In the COVID-19 pandemic, many OUCRU professors still give us some idea about the treatment for the patients. They still organize many case report presentations with us. They still have us with doing some research from the data in the computer. So OUCRU is still a very important collaborator with us.
Is this the same impact across the country and region?
Yes, so you can talk with my colleague in National Hospital for Tropical Disease.
All right. Hanoi is the capital of Vietnam. That's where all the decisions are made and where all the politicians are. And we felt it was important for our research to have a presence here in Hanoi, to be able to work with national hospitals, with national public health institutes, and to have a proximity to the Ministry of Health and to policymakers there.
Hey Thomas, you look all wrapped up.
Yes, it's winter here in the north.
Does that increase the incidence of infectious disease?
It does. The cold and humid weather favors the respiratory tract infections. So there are more community-acquired pneumonia in the hospital those days, and also people take more antibiotics. So it's the high season for antimicrobial resistance.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Thank you. Actually, the unique thing about OUCRU Hanoi is that we have clinical research at the hospital, we have lab-based research, we have the epidemiology, and we have the public health arm.
So what do you guys focus on here?
Our research activities range from improving surveillance, improving diagnostic, to designing control intervention for hospitals, but also for the community. We also have some whole genome sequencing of multi-drug resistant bacteria, like, for example, you have here some results of a cluster of resistant Neisseria gonorrhea that has been identified in Vietnam.
Oh, are the research conducted only in the cities?
Not all of them. We also work in the rural areas in collaboration with the provincial CDCs, for example, in Nam Dinh and Hanam province.
Is the situation different in the south of Vietnam than in the north?
There are some cultural and behavioral differences indeed, but it's certainly not as diverse as what you can see in Indonesia, for example. Maybe Kevin can tell you more about it.
Hey Kevin, this building looks historic. What's the story here?
The medical faculty in this building can trace its origins back to 1858. The building itself dates to 1922. This is the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Indonesia. You can see the history in this facade, but look at the buildings behind it. Those towers are IMERI, the Indonesia Medical Education and Research Institute. Those buildings embody the ambition of that faculty for their future in biomedical research.
So where are we right now?
This is the Universities of Indonesia and Oxford Clinical Research Laboratory. We've been collaborating with this faculty since 2008, the very beginning. But in 2017, we opened this facility to support our many mutually collaborative clinical trials together. So let's have a look.
Hi, my name is Arif Arial Sam. I am Professor of Internal Medicine, and I was currently appointed as the Dean of Faculty of Medicine, South Indonesia, for the second term.
Hello, Dean Ari. Can you tell me more about the collaboration?
With collaborations, our students can participate in OUCRU research project. It is very important experience for them for their career in the future.
Yes, and not just OUCRU, but the entire system. We have a very large hospital full of patients. We have an energized medical faculty. We have bright medical students and a superb research facility. That's the system I'm referring to, and that's the future of medical research in Indonesia. It's in one location, synergies for everybody there, including, importantly, the patients.
How does this amazing synergy get reflected across the whole of OUCRU?
Well, before COVID, we did visit each other and we understood how each of us worked, but we worked differently because of the different problems and settings each of us faced.
But with COVID, we were forced to deal with the same infectious disease together at the same time.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us to sync up. We found new ways to work with each other more efficiently.
We were able to shift resources, money, reagents, people, to where they were needed when they were needed.
So basically, it drove a point home. We are located in the two Southeast Asian countries with the largest and most diverse populations, with Nepal working the South Asian region.
If we can address questions in these populations, then we can certainly address questions across the whole of Asia.
Okay, and now you've seen a little bit around our units in Ho Chi Minh City, in Hanoi, and in Jakarta. But together we have this one vision as an OUCRU programme, and that's to have local, regional, and global impact on health by leading a locally driven research programme on infectious diseases in Southeast Asia. So the key thing about OUCRU is that we're working on this together. We're working on this by having training programmes, by supporting our junior staff, and by networking and collaborating. So as you heard in the video, I won't go through this in too much detail. Our main site where I'm speaking from today is OUCRU in Ho Chi Minh City at the Hospital for Tropical Diseases. We have around 300 staff and collaborators working on this site, but we also collaborate with many other hospitals and universities in the south of Vietnam. OUCRU Hanoi in the north of the country is affiliated to the National Hospital for Tropical Diseases. Our staff base up in Hanoi is around 59 staff members. We also host PhD students up there. And again, our OUCRU researchers are busy collaborating with many other hospitals and institutes, for example, NIHE, the National Institute for Hygiene and Epidemiology, in the north of Vietnam. In Jakarta, we're hosted by the University of Indonesia, and in Nepal at Kathmandu, we're hosted within the National Academy of Medical Sciences. So what about the research OUCRU? You had a little flavour there as we took you through some of the laboratories, but we work on a diverse range of pathogens, from COVID-19, which is the one you heard focused on at the end of the video, to influenza, dengue, TB, and everything in between. We also have a very strong research theme in antibiotic resistance. As well as covering a number of diverse pathogens, we investigate these diseases in a number of different ways by using different disciplines, from clinical trials to working in the lab on things like genetics and microbiology, to benchtop work with biostatistics, mathematical modelling, as well as health economics, but also work that involves engaging with the public and understanding the real human impact on what we do. So we also have a growing social science team. Every year, OUCRU offers opportunities for talented Vietnamese and Indonesian students or clinicians to enrol in a PhD across our programme. This is a 4-year training programme. Successful applicants will be registered with UK universities, mainly at our university and partner in Oxford, and also our university partner at Open University in the UK. However, the applicants spend the majority of their time working on infectious diseases of relevance to the region, based at either OUCRU Ho Chi Minh City, OUCRU Hanoi, or OUCRU Indonesia. Now, these fellowships are incredibly generous. They offer supervision by world-class scientists, as well as training courses on transferable, so more technical skills, technical skills and transferable skills, or what some people call soft skills. The fellowship also includes the UK university fees, so that means tuition, as well as training support for periods of overseas travel to attend conferences and training courses. It also includes a salary or a stipend for clinical staff. From 2000, when the OUCRU PhD programme first started, we have now graduated 143 PhD students, which we're incredibly proud of. And at the moment, we currently have 44 PhD students across the region. The photographs show our most recent PhD celebration, which happened just yesterday. This celebration has become one of our most favourite traditions, where we celebrate completing PhD students and also welcome our new batch of students. Throughout your time as a PhD student at OUCRU, we're very committed to supporting your development. So that means practical skills courses on things such as biostatistics, as well as transferable skills courses on things such as scientific writing or time management. We also have an annual careers event, and you would also have the opportunity to engage in a number of public outreach activities. Every year, we join with our partners at OUCRU. So OUCRU is our sister unit in Thailand, and our students come together for a student conference. This is a really good opportunity for our students to network together. Across both the OUCRU and OUCRU programme, we actually have over 100 PhD students, so really interesting network to be part of. During the student conference, we also host a 3-minute thesis competition where our PhD students can compete to win prizes that support travel and training. So if you are interested in joining OUCRU as a PhD student, which I'm sure many of you are here because you're interested in this, our eligibility criteria are that you must have a high-level degree in a related subject. So that depends on the PhD project that you're applying for, but would mean you need to have a bachelor's or a master's or a medical degree. You need to have an English score of IELTS 7 or above. And the application process starts in September. So in September, we will advertise predetermined projects on our University of Oxford Partners website. You will be able to apply for these projects between September and the deadline in December. Following shortlisting, the interviews for these PhD projects will take place at the start of 2026. And then the aim would be to enrol you in the Oxford PhD course in October 2026, although there is the opportunity for an early start in April if the project requires this. As I said before, you would be registered with a UK university. It does take 4 years full-time to do a PhD, although part-time options may be discussed. Your salary and research costs will be covered. If you do need any further information at any time, you can contact us on training@oucru.org. Now, there's another opportunity. Say you had a really exciting idea for your own project, and maybe you don't want to wait and see what projects will be advertised. We would recommend that you identify a potential OUCRU supervisor so you can look through our website to find some more information. You can either contact them directly, all of their email addresses are on the website, or you can email our training team at the address I gave you already. You can discuss a project with them or your idea. You would then need to prepare a short project proposal. Your project would have to be focused on improving human health in Southeast Asia and have a research focus of interest to OUCRU. You would need to have clear aims and objectives and consider the research outcomes that you wish to fulfill. It's also very important to clearly outline the problem you're trying to solve or the gap in knowledge you're trying to fill. You also need to provide an up-to-date CV, which covers your qualifications and job history, your research experience, your skills, and also, most importantly, a cover letter. Okay. OUCRU really is about building scientific capacity. This is a really simple slide to give you a flavour of where our PhD students go. So we have a number of very successful graduates, 143 now, as I mentioned. Some of them have stayed at OUCRU and are doing postdoc positions. Some have become leaders or group heads or senior members of staff, while others have spread their wings and gone further afield to work in other institutes, either within their home country or also going overseas. So they may be working as lecturers, as researchers, in CROs, or even in industry. And that's a short flavour of our PhD programme and the basic details of how to apply. You may have many questions, and that's fine. You can continue to use the chat box, or if you can't think of a question but it comes to you later, you can drop us an email. This is a photograph from the end of our 3-minute thesis this year that took place in Bangkok, Thailand. So everyone was very happy to see the winners receive their prizes. So as I said, continue to ask any questions you may have. But next, I would like to invite members of our research groups to give you a short flavour of the research that they conduct. So we're going to go north first, and I'd like to invite Dr. Vu Thi Nhot Bích from Hanoi to present on behalf of OUCRU Hanoi. Bích.
Yes, thank you, Lee. Hello, everyone. My name is Bích, and I am working at OUCRU Hanoi. Today, I would like to share our work addressing one of the global health challenges, antimicrobial resistance, or AMR. Antibiotic has been a powerful tool for treating bacterial infection. However, the increasing ability of bacteria to resist antibiotic is becoming a major public health problem. By 2050, AMR could cause 10 million deaths annually and cost the global economy up to $100 trillion. This problem is more serious in low and middle income countries like Vietnam, where antibiotics are widely accessible and often used without prescription. The overuse and misuse of antibiotics contributes significantly to the rise of resistance. At OUCRU Hanoi, we are conducting several research to tackle this problem. We are implementing an intervention study as a part of antimicrobial stewardship, or we call AMS program. We work with local hospitals to build the capacity and to deliver effective AMS program. Through the conducting educational training, and we integrate audit and feedback into clinical pharmacy activity, we can ensure the right antibiotic and the right dose was used for the patient. In parallel, we are collaborating with the healthcare provider and policymaker to improve the prescribing activity. And with the public, we work with public to raise awareness about using antibiotic responsibly. Besides that, in our lab, we are using molecular genetic analysis to provide the high resolution data about the genome of bacteria and antibiotic resistant gene. This data we have to check outbreak and understand how bacteria can spread and transmit from the hospital to the community. These data are also very important for to control and to mitigate the consequence of AMR. So all these efforts combined is a part of our OUCRU Hanoi to preserve antibiotics for the future generation. And we cannot do alone. We need the support, the commitment, and the collaboration to combat with the silent pandemic. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any question, please drop your question into the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bích. And as Bích said, if you have any questions about the AMR research in Hanoi, you can drop a question to Bích in the chat box. And briefly leaving Vietnam, we're going to go to OUCRU Indonesia. Suwati.
Thanks, Lee. Am I audible enough? I hope so.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a little bit flavor coming from north to the south. So this is another taste of OUCRU Indonesia. I think you've heard quite a lot about OUCRU Indonesia before. This is how our current situation is. We're not that big, but we're not that small either, with 120 research, technical, and support staff across 4 research programs. As you can see, this is our research program heads, which covered some of those are working quite deep, like Professor Kevin did a lot along the years with the malaria. Some we have a wider breadth of infectious disease, like Professor Hammerstedt in clinical infectious disease, and some would consider much on community, like Dr. Iqbal and Dr. Anwar Shankar did with doing the geospatial epidemiologies and also for the community health. Am I eligible for the next slide, please? Yeah, so overall, because our country is quite wide, these are current active sites of OUCRU Indonesia's activity. Currently, we have like 17 active sites across from west to east of Indonesia. As I said before, our research are covering quite a lot, from diagnosis, preventions, and the treatment, as also from the preventions itself. So there are some who concerns about the treatment, others also concerns about the surveillance, preventions, and also about community-based digital health interventions, especially focusing on some specific communities like pregnant women. In additional case, we also concerns about climate-sensitive infections like dengue and leptospirosis, where I work on that as well. So by having this to all of you, we hope that you've got the sense of what we are doing now, and we look forward to have a new potentially scientist from OUCRU Indonesia who has concerns about infectious disease and to form the research agenda of interest and relevance to Indonesian provider and their patients. That delivered me to the end of my presentation. Over to you, Lee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suarte, for introducing OUCRU Indonesia. I'm sure that's going to be of interest to a high number of people that are joining the call today from Indonesia and looking for opportunities there to conduct their PhD studies. And we're going to move back down to the south of Vietnam. So from our emerging infections team, we have Chung Quang Chow Chok, a research assistant from this group.
Hello, everybody. I hope that you can see me.
We can hear you.
Yes, okay, that's good. Hello, everyone. So I will start first for the from the OUCRU of Vietnam. Unfortunately, sorry. So it is my pleasure to be here and to speak on behalf of our team at this year's Open Day. So my name is Châu Trúc and I'm a research assistant at the Emerging Infections Department. Just a little bit about my job is I store and testing the samples, looking for infectious materials into samples, and also monitoring how the viruses, bacteria are evolving and changing over time. So next I'm going to introduce you about our amazing, passionate and multidisciplinary group. Our group is having people coming from different backgrounds, such as people that are clinical study nurses and doctors, as well as laboratory scientists. We work together on a wide range of research projects, which covering a variety of pathogens, as well as research themes that you can see that are listed here on the slides, from diagnostics to clinical innovations projects like that. And then altogether, our goal is to understand diseases better and find ways to improve how we diagnose and treat them. So a few examples of what we're working on at the moment. So we're a part of a study looking at the causes of pneumonia in Southeast Asia, which is supported by the Singapore government. We also lead a big international project which called Seco variants. As you can see the picture of the Seco variant consortium here. So where we study how COVID-19 variants behave and what that means for public health. For this project, we proudly work in partnership and with collaborators from the UK, Singapore, Thailand, and Indonesia. So we are very proud of the accessible facilities here in the laboratory of OUCRU. For instance, we have the proudly machines and platforms that listed here for to perform like basic molecular techniques as well as immunological techniques. For example, we use the sequencing machine to help monitoring the viruses like monkeypox and bird flu and study them in great detail. So we also have like immunological study to see how the immune system responds to new infections by observing antibodies and T-cell activities. Also, with our clinical team, they play a very key role here too. So they work directly with patients, help us collecting samples, and they also run their own exciting projects like wearable devices to monitor patients' health and using AI models and machine learning to predict illness outcome and helping patients recover after time in the ICU ward. So all of this work together helps us get ready for future outbreaks, and we want to make sure we can respond quickly, treat patients better, and protect public health. And thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat box. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chop, for that introduction. So as you can see from this group, lots of different diseases and lots of different disciplines. So if you're interested in this group, you can direct your questions to Chop. And then next up, we have Dr. Khan from the TB group. Dr. Khan is actually also a PhD student, so you'll hear some more from him a little bit later. Khan, are you ready to give a short presentation and introduction to your group?
Yeah, surely. Happy to do so. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Khan. I am a PhD student from the TB group at OUCRU, and it is an honor for me to be here today and represent my groups. So first, what is tuberculosis and what make it interesting? Well, tuberculosis, or TB for short, is a disease that's caused by a bacterium called Mycobacteria tuberculosis. It is the deadliest infectious diseases and responsible for more than 1.2 million deaths every year from 2023. And there are more than 10 million new cases every year. So given this major burden, you can imagine that we have a lot of challenges and also very interesting research questions that needs to be uncovered. At OUCRU, our group is dedicated to investigate the underlying mechanism of TB, both from the bacteria side, what the bacteria does to our body, and also from the human side, which is how our body react or respond to the infections. By understanding this mechanism, we aim to improve the diagnostic, provide better treatment and shorter treatment, while also enhancing preventive strategies. We pursue these goals through clinical study, including observational study and also clinical trials. We have a strong foundation to support our work, including well-equipped laboratory with seasoned experts in microbiology, immunology, and omics studies, such as proteomics, RNA sequencing, genomics, and single cell as well. We also have a specialized data analysis team specialized in bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to support our biology's study. We also benefit from a strong network of international collaborators as well. So whether you are a clinician aiming to improve the patient care, a biologist eager to develop new diagnostic tests, or a computer scientist who wants to apply the best model for biology. If you are interested, come and join us in the fight against TB. You can scan, if you want to know more detail, you can scan the small QR code on the right-hand side, or you can email me if you want some extra information. Thank you for your listening, and over to you, Lee.
Thank you very much, Can, for that introduction to our TB team, another very multidisciplinary group. And then moving on, I'd like to invite Chan Van Thuy from our malaria team.
Hello everyone, I'm Thoy from the malaria group. Today I'd like to share my personal journey from being a malaria patient to now pursuing my dream of contributing to the malaria group. I was born and raised in Bình Phước, a mountainous province in Vietnam, mostly consisting of forests and plantation, an ideal environment for malaria mosquito to breed and thrive. I experienced malaria firsthand and witnessed many people in the area suffering from it. While malaria is preventable and curable, it certainly remains a significant public health threat, especially in remote areas with limited access to healthcare. Fortunately, in 2014, I became a member of the malaria group, and together with my colleague, we conduct research aimed at achieving malaria elimination by 2030. Our research primarily focuses on clinical trials addressing resistance in P. falciparum and radical kill in P. vivax. Furthermore, our group investigates the mechanism of lung resistance through parasite culture and molecular markers. We hope that our finding will provide crucial evidence for answering lung efficacy and enabling early detection and prevention of lung resistance spread and informing the development of effective national malaria treatment policy. Achieving our goal of malaria-free Vietnam by 2030 requires collective efforts. We need the help of researchers, healthcare workers, business students, and anyone who cares about public health. Let us believe malaria-free Vietnam by 2030 is entirely achievable. Thank you all very much for your time and support. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave us a message. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thuy, and thank you for that fascinating story from patient to researcher. Thank you very much. And next up, we have Dr. Nguyen Minh Nguyen from our dengue group. Nguyen.
Thank you, Lee. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Nguyen. I'm a clinical research fellow of dengue group at OUCRU Vietnam. I'm delighted to join this event today and introduce you briefly about our research group. So dengue is a very uncommon viral disease caused by the dengue virus, which are circulating in the tropical and subtropical disease areas. This disease causes a huge burden to the healthcare setting and as well as the economy of countries in the endemic areas, including Vietnam. Our study aims to better understand about how the virus invades our body, the signs and symptoms of dengue, and how our body could respond to the virus. The knowledge gained from this study will support us to early identify patients who would potentially progress to severe disease so that the doctor could provide the appropriate monitoring and treatment strategy. We work with research team in the Imperial College in UK to develop the algorithm and the wearable device to continuously monitor patient without causing any inconvenience. The interventional trial are conducted to find out the safe drug to fight against this disease and reduce its impact in community. You will hear the story of Dr. Trần Băng Huyền, one of our PhD students, telling you about her project investigating anakinra in treatment for dengue patients with warning signs and severe disease, with the aim to limit the inflammatory response in patient's body and to reduce the progress to disease complication. We are also collaborating with many research team working in different fields to develop a tool to forecast dengue outbreaks in Vietnam using the climate data, the number of dengue cases reported annually, the circulating serotype of dengue virus, and the mosquito population. This tool will help us to predict when and where the outbreak would occur, how big the outbreak would be, so that we can proactively perform different action to prevent virus transmission in community. For more information about our group and our research, you can scan the QR code or contact us via the email given at the bottom of the slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nuit, for that great introduction to the dengue group. And moving on to our zoonoses team, and presenting on behalf of our zoonoses team, we have Dr. Nguyen Chum Tan. Are you there?
Okay, I hope you can hear me well.
Excellent, I can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tan, a postdoctoral scientist at the Zoonosis Group. So today I'm pleased to introduce to you some of the key activity in our group. So first of all, what is the zoonosis? Zoonosis is defined by WHO, any kind of disease or infection that can naturally transmissible from the vertebrate animal to human. So zoonosis are a multidisciplinary team that we are working on the bacterial or pathogen at the intersection of human and animal or environmental health, which is also called as the One Health approach. So to address the complex challenges posed by zoonotic diseases, and for that, how our work combine the genomic, machine learning, and field and laboratory research to address the complex challenges posed by the zoonotic disease. And together, the approach are essential to improve our understanding on how zoonotic disease spread. The impact of the research on the community is always very important. Therefore, we also actively engage with the policymaker before and after implementation of any research. So currently, we focus on three major research areas. The first is the zoonotic transmission. So we work on the transmission mechanism of Streptococcus suis, Salmonella, and E. coli across the human and animal population. Indeed, we employ the whole genome sequencing and machine learning and artificial intelligence to detect the sharing of the gene or bacterial strain from animal and human, or or to identify the gene marker that enabling the bacteria to transmit across species. And the second is to identify the impact of antimicrobial use in farm to the public health. Our studies show that the use of antimicrobial in farm is a driver for carrying of antimicrobial resistance, but in the farmer and also non-farmer in the local community. And whether this character is a long-term character, our PhD student, Miss Minty, currently working on this. And the third is the zoonotic. As you know, that zoonotic disease normally commonly occur in the community. Therefore, we also study the community acquired pneumonia pathogen. And currently, we work with the very common bacteria, Streptococcus pneumonia and Bordetella pertussis, that bacteria causing the whooping cough, as you know. So for those who are interested to pursuing the PhD, so we will soon advertise the position for students to employ the bioinformatic tool to study the Streptococcus pneumonia. And finally, we also interested to host final year students, undergraduate and also postgraduate students from local and international university who are eager to conduct the research with us. And therefore, if you are interested in infectious disease, genomic, or One Health approach, we will be delighted to be connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tan. Okay, and next up we have our biostatistics group, and presenting on behalf of our biostatistics group, we have Dr. Du Hong Do.
Thanks, Lee. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Du Hong Do. I'm a postdoc researcher at the biostatistics group at OUCRU. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our group and highlight some of the impactful work so far. So biostatistics is a field focusing on analysis and interpretation of data that are collected in living organisms at OUCRU. So mostly we have humans. So our work is essential in making sense of the complex biological data and contributing to significant medical and scientific advancement. So our groups can be divided in three main areas. So first of all, for support, where we provide expert advice and support for statistical analysis across various projects at OUCRU. Thus can be include helping researchers to determine sample size, consider study designs, specify data requirements, identify analysis option, or conduct analysis and study report. We also supervise PhD students and guide them through their research journeys. Second, we are dedicated to building capacity through seminar and trainings. We offer courses and seminars to equip researchers with skills to perform robust statistical analysis by providing some course, for example, medical statistics course, data visualization, or R course. This training is crucial for ensuring the high quality research output. For research, our groups is actively involved in developing novel statistic methodologies in areas relevant to OUCRU. So some of our key research projects include first, prediction models for some diagnosis and prognosis for disease such as tuberculosis, dengue, tetanus, or COVID-19. We also focus on causal inference to explain the mechanism of the disease and improve design analysis of randomized controlled trials, as well as some observational studies. And we also study the trajectory of biomarkers and their role in disease progression. Currently, we have 5 members in our group. So our group head, as you see in the photo in the middle, 3 postdoc researchers and 1 research assistant. So in summaries, biostatistics is play a crucial role in supporting, training, and conducting research at OUCRU. So we committed to advance biostatistics and contribute to understand more complex data in our research. So thank you for your attention. Happy to take questions and looking forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you very much, Do. And moving on to your neighbouring group is our mathematical modelling team, and we have the head of our mathematical modelling team with us today. Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Mark Schwazi. I'm leading mathematical modeling at OUCRU. It's essentially, it's kind of a brother group of the biostats. We are right next door. And to the point that people don't always fully understand what's the difference between the statistics and the mathematical modeling. So I think our approach is very much like reverse engineering. So we start from the data in order to try to understand what are the mechanisms that generated those data. So we are very much oriented towards the mechanisms that generates the data. So for example, what's the mechanisms that allow the transmission of disease between people, or the evolution of the pathogens, and generally both in space and time. That's what we're looking at. So we're building those models, and we do need some data to feed those models to calibrate them. And the data we use are mostly public health surveillance data that are generated by a Vietnamese public health institution we are working with. It could also be experimental data that are generated in the lab here at OUCRU. And then, so essentially, we use those models for various purposes. One of them is to understand better the biology of the disease transmission and evolution. But more practically, also, we're doing a lot of forecasting because the Vietnamese institution we're working with are very much interested in being able to forecast what's going to be the next outbreak, when it's going to start, how big it's going to be. And ultimately, we use those models as a net for decision making in public health. And in that respect, we are particularly interested in the policy regarding the vaccination of infectious disease. And for that, we work closely with various national or local or provincial public health institutes in the country. And the second topic we are much interested in is the evolution of antimicrobial resistance, as was introduced by Bic early on. And so obviously, as you must have understood it, our expertise is very much methodological as opposed to be focused on one particular disease. And for that reason, we work mostly in collaboration with other groups at OUCRU who's got the expertise on the various disease. And at the moment, the disease we're working mostly on the measles and also vaccine preventable disease, dengue fever, as was presented just before, and also Klebsiella pneumoniae. That's probably a presentation that's to come. We'll say a little bit more. So that's the overall picture of our interest in the group. And on the bottom of the slide, I've gave you more what our daily life look like. So we essentially spend, so we're doing dry lab. So we spend most of our time in front of the computer. We're doing a mixture of mathematics and computer programming. So that's what we do on a daily basis, most of us. And so in terms of working in the group, you don't, I'm showing this because I want to make sure that this is what our daily life look like. So if you are allergic to mathematics or computer programming, you should certainly not consider joining us at any point. But this, on the contrary, doesn't mean that you need to be an expert in maths or computer programming to be able to join the group. So what's very important is that at least you have a very strong interest in learning those things. So if you got the motivation, you'll be good. So most of the staff in the group, so we are about 8 people at the moment. Most of the staff, they don't come from a background in either mathematics or computer science, and they've been learning those skills when they were working with us. Okay, back to you, Lee.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that introduction to your modelling team. And next up, we have the molecular epidemiology team. And I'd like to welcome Wynne, who is also a PhD student. Wynne.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you training team for these opportunities. And so my name is Won, and I'm actually a first year PhD student in the molecular epidemiology group. And I also have 5 years of experience as a research assistant before study here. So today I will briefly share with you what we have done, what we're currently doing, working on, and also a slightly hint about our future plan. So our main focus is on the gram-negative pathogens, as you can tell from the top two pictures here, like such as E. coli, Salmonella, Shigella, Acinetobacter, and also Klebsiella pneumoniae, which is our top enemies right now, both the high-valent strain and the multi-drug resistant strain. So through the name molecular epidemiology, we contribute to the science community by providing an in-depth knowledge in epidemiologies and also the molecular mechanism behind these spreading pathogens. For example, like the phylogenetic tree as showing here, like let's take a look at the blue branch here for those patients with the treatment success. So we try to analyze how these bacteria evolve and spread using the clinical data such as gender, like male, female, or the treatment outcomes like failure or success, and also the locations. And this helps us a lot in tracking how the bacteria spread and whether between human, between patients, or even from the environment. And on the other hand, with the information that we had from those red branch here, we also detect and respond rapidly to any outbreaks that strongly relate to the treatment failure as well. So besides our strength in the genomics, we also try to extend our knowledge into the immunology through learning and developing many different experiments like the SBA, like ELISA, ELISPOT, and also even for the single cell sequencing as well. So if you join our group as a PhD student, you will have the opportunity to exchange the knowledge and learn some of these listening skills here, both the wet lab and the bioinformatics skills. So if you share your interest with us or just simply curious about our work, please feel free to contact me through email or simply drop a message here or through my Twitter account. And you can also direct my group head, Dr. Yi Phạm, for more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wynne, for that introduction to the molecular epi group. Great introduction from one of our PhD students. And moving on to one of our recent graduates is Dr. Nguyen Tan Ha, who is a postdoc researcher in our social science and implementation research team. Ha.
Thank you, Lee. Hello, everyone. My name is Ha. I'm a postdoc researcher at the Social Science and Implementation Research Department in OUCRU. So you may wonder, what does a social science group doing in a clinical research unit? And we are proud to say that our work complements very nicely with the OUCRU's vision. So, and we in social science group, we would like to see infectious diseases beyond just clinical symptoms or biological agents like bacterial viruses. We are fascinated to see how a disease is perceived differently among communities, among contexts, among cultures. And we want to see how a patient experiences illnesses and how it varies among contexts. So if you can see on the slide, our work focuses on 4 main areas that includes experience and perceptions of health and illness, the culture, context, history, and the structures that contribute to the understanding of the illnesses and health prevention behaviors. We also look at economic evaluations of medical intervention and also explore and evaluate implementation of new interventions in clinical settings. But also another important field in our department is to understand and improve ethical implications in doing clinical research. And if you are looking at the picture that I put it on the slides, one of the picture that we took during our field work. In our work, it's very often that we go into a new community, get to know the communities, build rapport, and sometimes live inside the communities for quite some time to understand how everyday lives relate to their perceptions and behaviors related to health and illnesses. Our PhD projects are quite varied. Some of us look at the perceptions and behaviors related to childhood vaccines, HPV vaccines, or new vaccines in the trial. Some of us look at the perceptions related to the use of antibiotics. So if you are interested in the wonder, the beauty, the complicatedness of human psychology related to health and illnesses, you are very welcome to join our group. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A really nice summary of one of our newest teams. And I guess what you can think of it as, you could have the best drug in the world, you could have the best vaccine in the world, but if you don't speak to communities, how do you expect them to take it? Really, really important work. Okay, and moving on to the public engagement team. So we have a public and community engagement team, and presenting on behalf of our team, we have Vu Yui Tan. Tan.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. So, hello everyone. My name is Tan, and I am the Vice Head of Public and Community Engagement Group at OUCRU, and I am based in OUCRU Ho Chi Minh City office. So, in the context of scientific research, engagement refers to the process of bringing together scientists and people from the non-academic backgrounds for mutual benefits. So engagement is a two-way interaction between scientists and the public, or between scientists and specific communities where OUCRU research are taking place. And this interaction can happen in many forms. It can be online, offline, it can happen in a small group or big events. But regardless of the engagement form, the goals remains the same, which aim to make OUCRU research more relevant to local communities and to increase the public access to the benefit of science. And all these contribute to improve health outcomes. So at OUCRU, engagement is integrated throughout our research. We work in collaboration with a range of partners and government agencies to engage diverse group of public people and communities. So how do we achieve our aim of making OUCRU research more relevant and to increase the access to the benefit of science? So we have platforms, engagement platforms that encourage community members to participate and share their views and experiences, contributing to directly to research at OUCRU. For example, we run a public advisory group which includes members from diverse group backgrounds, such as teachers, officers, yoga teachers, or freelancers. So they are all invited to OUCRU for meetings where our researchers present their study and challenges. And these sessions are followed by open discussion between the members of the public advisory group and our researchers. And in that, allowed the members of that public advisory group to give suggestions to our researchers in order to strengthen their study designs, implementation, and progress of their study. So there are different range of engagement activities led by our public and community engagement groups. But on the other side, we also offer seed grants that enable our OUCRU researchers so that they can apply to carry out their own ideas of engaging the public around their studies. And at our Department of Public and Community Engagement, there is a dedicated team who collaborate very closely with OUCRU collaborating hospitals to design and provide training workshops that enhance skill and understanding of healthcare workers to better communicate with study participants, with patients, and with their families. And at OUCRU, we see young people as a very important stakeholder group to engage with. So we provide training on public engagement for them, followed by mentoring and empower them, groups of young science enthusiasts to design their own public engagement projects that use science in order to raise awareness or to promote understanding of public health challenges in their communities. And importantly, evaluation. We see evaluation plays a very central role in all our work. So for us, by documenting and reflecting on what we do, we can track our progress, we can measure our effectiveness and identify areas for improvement, and as well to share our good practice and learning with others. So this is an overview of our work of our public and community engagement OUCRU, and we look forward to seeing you if you have time, if you have chance to come to OUCRU. We are in the third floor at OUCRU Ho Chi Minh City building. Yeah. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you very much, Tan. And continuing the theme of research being about people, our final talk comes from the OUCRU Clinical Trials Unit. Antoine.
Thank you, Liz. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. I'm a clinical research manager. So, as you hear, so from the other research group, what they are doing. So now, I would like to present about what we are doing in OUCRU on the behalf of the clinical trial units. So, I just about my background, I am leading the team, including coordinator and study doctor, to support the other research group to manage a number of important research projects and trial in OUCRU. First established in 2006, the CTU network now included CTU based in Ho Chi Minh City, which is led by Dr. Evelyn, and other satellite center in Hanoi, Kathmandu in Nepal, and Jakarta in Indonesia. So you can see our team photo from four sides. This network allows us to for standardizing the policy and procedure in a trial management, which bring efficiencies, especially when we are co-enrolling on the collaborative clinical trials. And over the past 15 years, the CTU has worked to increase the research quality and capacity by building the human resources, facilities, oversight, and administrative system necessary for conducting an ever-growing number of clinical trials. You can see the flowchart describes every process that CTU involved in every step of conducting clinical research, from planning, setup, conduct, analysis, reporting, and publication. Taking in advance that CTU has to make sure the processes are as smooth as possible. Over the period from 2010 to now, the number of team members has doubled, but the number of trials has increases nearly 10 times, with more complicated and variable trial and design. It means beside the pressure of the high volumes of work, we have to make sure our staff maximize their capacity to cover all work that we have to manage. And until now, we have successfully conducted 289 clinical studies and over 60 clinical trials. Besides, we also work with the Ministry of Health to develop the Vietnamese clinical trial legislations. And recently, we support the Vietnamese and Ministry of Health to conduct a project to develop a qualitative assessment toolkit to assess clinical research site capacity, which has become the main reference for establishing a new MOS circular in managing clinical trial in Vietnam. So the result of the projects were published in PGM. And furthermore, the CTU not only expanded internally, but through collaboration and trainings, we expanded regionally and internationally as well. So that is a very brief introduction about background and organization of the CTU. So now I would like to hand over back to Lee to continue our program. If you have any questions, just let us know. And hopefully we will have a chance to work in the very near future. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Tan. That concludes a whistle-stop tour of OUCRU's research groups, our support groups, and our units in Indonesia and in Hanoi. So this is where everything gets a little bit competitive, and this is just a little bit of fun, and it also enables us to see where our audience are focusing their interests. So I want you to think about which of the talks today that you found most interesting. And I'm just going to change my share screen to Slido. So Slido will allow you to vote for your favorite group. So you just need to scan the QR code that you see on your screen, or you can go to slido.com and use the number 4128177. And you can see here that all of our talks are listed. We have OUCRU Hanoi at the top, and we have OUCRU Indonesia when you scroll at the bottom, and we have all of our Ho Chi Minh City groups listed in between. So let's see, which of our groups do you find most interesting? So a nice split at the moment. TB coming out as an early leader. I'll give you a few moments to vote for your favourite. We have 18 people voted so far, but I know we have over 200 people on the call. This is the most, the biggest audience we've had since conducting our open days. So please keep voting. So social science and implementation, the favourite so far. We have Ha still in the room with me and she's smiling. So that's nice to see. Okay. Also lots of people from Indonesia on the call, which is fabulous. Okay. I'm going to give you 1 more minute to vote and then we'll close our voting. Okay, 83 of you have voted, so that's probably just under 50% of who is on the call. So if you haven't yet voted, do scan the QR code. There's still a few moments left for you to vote for your favourite group. It's becoming a bit competitive, isn't it? It's like a horse race. Okay, so I'm going to stop the poll here and we can see that our winner was social sciences. So congratulations to our social sciences team. Well done, Ha. You must have given a very good talk. So that's really exciting. I'm just going to navigate back to my slides now. So lots of people interested, perhaps, in doing a PhD in social sciences. Okay. So this is a really important point I'd like to make before we move on, is that not only are we proud to conduct world-leading research, but we're proud to embrace and foster a strong research culture. And this means that we're committed to supporting our diverse student and staff base. And to learn a little bit more about this, I'm just going to show you a short video.
The thing that defines OUCRU's culture at the moment is a spirit of endeavour and collaboration that is really unusual. I think that's what people feel when they walk into this building, and that's what we need to maintain.
Hey, how are you?
Ready? Take satu.
OUCRU has been really successful in terms of developing and growing homegrown scientists. We have a number of graduates through our programmes, and OUCRU staff who've gone on to senior positions in other institutions and in government, for example. Our PhD programme at OUCRU is also incredibly successful. We've graduated over 100 PhD students since we started our programme. And in actual fact, the students at the moment, our student body, over 90% of these are actually homegrown. They're local, so being Vietnamese, Indonesian, Nepalese, for example. And that's actually pretty representative of our history of graduating students.
So I think through OUCRU, I receive a lot of things. So I receive training, support from a group of supervisors in different areas.
OUCRU particularly pays attention to the development of researchers with support resources that you hardly can find in any other research institutes in the country and also in the region.
Over the years, I have received much support through the OUCRU program, which allow me to have more study, especially in epidemiology during the COVID pandemic and also another research studies. I have been fortunate to be part of the Make Difference program, and it has been beneficial for me in so many ways, such as developing a successful and productive team, training to be part of the coaching and mentoring ship for the new students.
One of the initiatives that was started is called OWLS, and OWLS stands for OUCRU Women Leaders in Science. We developed that group because we felt that young researchers needed to see strong female role models, female researchers, female leaders. But also they expressed a need to network, to develop their careers. One of the achievements that we're very proud of is the development of a mentorship scheme, because we really want to be able to offer our young researchers all the tools they need to develop a successful career in science.
We want to support scientists right from the level of BSc through their career pathway to enable them to reach their full potential.
I think it's the support, the environment and the freedom. And I think that we've been so lucky to be funded by Wellcome to develop our own scientific career.
So OUCRU also gave me many precious opportunity to do clinical research in Vietnam, to become the head of a research group, to receive 2 Wellcome Trust Fellowship and have more funding from international networks.
When being a Wellcome Fellow, I have more recognition and credentials in the research field. I'm becoming more confident in expressing my own research contributions and more confident in reaching out and connecting with prominent researchers in the world.
I'm also a recipient of the Wellcome Fellowship, and it has brought me to the new level to be an independent scientist.
I want to train more PhD students, Vietnamese PhD students. I want to, inspire them to do science that would, strengthen the scientific capacity here in Vietnam.
I am now trying to pass on what I've received by continued training, mentoring, and creating more opportunities for my students and my group member.
So the ultimate objective is to produce scientists from the region who are capable of standing up and doing internationally competitive science. I think my job as a leader is as a catalyst. I am here to try and make things happen. Therefore, the style required for that is one of inclusivity, one of listening, one of transparency, and that's what I endeavour to bring to the programme. And I hope that that manifests itself through the programme as part of the culture that we create here in OUCRU.
I think the research culture that's been cultivated in OUCRU has been very important for its success. There's several key elements. It's a multinational collaboration, it's inquiring, it's flexible, it's reactive, and it's highly effective. And I think it's a tribute to everyone who's worked in the unit.
OUCRU is about building future leaders. It doesn't begin and end with PhDs, and I think that's really, really important. It's the transferable aspect of what we're trying to do, as well as encouraging future scientists to look beyond the lab and the clinic into how they can make a difference in their communities.
Okay, so that's a little bit about our research culture and what we try to do, where we support our staff and our students. So talking of students, I would like to introduce Huyn from our dengue group. So she just started her Oxford DPhil last year, and she's going to give you a little bit of a flavour of what it's like to do a PhD at OUCRU.
Thank you, Lee, for the introduction.
It's really my honor to be here today. It reminds me of how fast time flies, really. Indeed. Yeah, felt like it was yesterday when I applied for a PhD studentship at OUCRU, a journey which I'm gonna tell you briefly about in the next few minutes. So, again, just a very short introduction. My name is Huyet, and I'm a PhD student at Dengue Group, currently at the beginning of the second year. By background, I'm an infectious disease doctor, got a master in tropical medicine, and the idea of doing a PhD actually started all the way back in the time I was doing my master, that I realized that I really had the love for learning, for studying, for research. And I thought, why don't I turn research or learning into a full-time work? But back in the time, it was just an idea, because I understood that PhD is a big commitment. It's the 4 years of my life, and I better do what I really like to do with those 4 years. And back in the time, there was just very few topics that made me thrilled about, that made me want to explore deeply. So not until when COVID-19 hit the world in 2020 and 2021, I, as an infectious disease doctor, was reminded again about how important host response is in infection, especially viral infection. So I joined OUCRU as a study doctor to investigate some host-directed therapy for COVID-19 and start thinking about what if host-directed therapy work for dengue. As severe dengue has many similarities with severe COVID-19. And I was really lucky, because when I started looking and chatting to people about PhD opportunities in host-directed therapy, I met Sophie, head of the dengue group, and now my supervisor, who was developing trial of host-directed therapy for dengue. And the rest of the story you already know. We put on the proposal, I applied for a OUCRU studentship, and now a PhD student. I just want to mention the second most important reason why I decided to do a PhD. And looking back to my first year now, I'm glad that I'm having exactly what I wished for, the intellectual and personal growth. Because just so you know that a clinical trial is a big part of my PhD project. And so beside the joy of learning and of exploration, complex problem solving is a must. So no boring day at all in clinical trial. You can wake up in the morning, walk around, and realize that maybe the study drug was given to the wrong patient, which is a really big problem in clinical trial and medical practice in general. And mentioning about personal growth, I want to emphasize that PhD is no easy work. So I must learn how to be more resilient and to be more autonomic and initiative about my PhD journey. There was many days when I feel overwhelmed or even fed up with a piece of paper. And that's just a reality. And I must learn how to move myself forward. But that's, after all those struggles, you can see that's a reward in terms of personal growth. And one of the skills for you to continue on your research journey. Another reason, very important, why I decided to do a PhD at OUCRU is about the support I'm receiving so far, not just intellectually, but also mentally, and most important, financially. I have not only my supervisor, but also my mentor, my peer PhD student, Lee, and the training team. So we have opportunities to attend training courses at OUCRU and also at Oxford. You have the autonomy to analyze your training needs, and also funding and opportunity to attend conference and present your work. So as you can see, why I present my talk in gray, because you can see that
PhD is no easy work, but if you keep the flame, the little flame, passionate and resilient, and together with the support, you can, so far, not too bad. So last but not least, some last word for those who are considering a PhD. If you are passionate about research, you want to challenge yourself and have a scientific question that you are eager to explore deeply, I think OUCRU is a very, very good place that gives you the space to grow and to discover the value of science. Sorry, Lee, I can't say the best because let's wait until I have my second PhD to compare. Anyway, this is the small PhD student family at the moment. Just a picture of we having some fun moment outside of work, thanks to Lee and the training team and all the support we received. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. Yes, you might even be fortunate enough to go on nice funded dinners by the training team as we try to encourage our students to interact with each other and share their journey. Okay, so moving on to another one of our students is Can, who has already spoken a little bit about the TB group, but now he's going to talk more personally about his story into a PhD. Can.
Okay, thank you, Lee, for your kind introduction. Hello again. So my name is Kan. I'm currently a first-year PhD student at the TB group at OUCRU, and it's a pleasure for me to be here today and share my journeys. So about my background, so I was trained as a medical doctor and I graduated in 2018 from the University of Medicine and Pharmacy at Ho Chi Minh City. Shortly after that, I joined OUCRU as a research assistant and then later moved on to study doctor in the emerging infection at OUCRU. So the original plans was doing some clinical study, combining between infectious diseases and AI stuff, maybe including some exciting works about some smartwatches or wearable devices, as we prefer to call them. But then something happens, it's the COVID-19 pandemic. And so a lot of my original research study was kind of postponed. And then there's new research involving COVID-19 was ongoing. So I joined the fight. And during this time, I developed my strong interest in diagnostic research, simply because the early detection from diagnostic can help prevent disaster. Earlier diagnosis can help the patient get better treatment, sooner treatment and better treatment as well. So they can be so their complication from the disease can be prevented. And in terms of infectious diseases, we can stop or we can slow down the spread of the disease as well. The reason why I really have a strong interest in diagnostic, because at first, from the COVID-19, in Vietnam, we don't have a lot of diagnostic tests. We don't have a lot of, first is diagnostic test, and then we don't have rapid tests as well. So it was a privilege for me to work in the emerging infection groups, and we kind of have access to those tests at the very early of the pandemics. So then when the COVID-19 stepped down or eased out a little bit, I started to look around and see what else is there. And then I realized there's another giant disease. It's called TB. It kills about 1 million people every year. And it have a huge burden and a lot of room for improvement for diagnostic as well. So that is on the second stage of the slide. So that's where I joined. That is where, moving on to the next slide, I joined the TB group and starting to pursue a PhD focusing on improving the diagnosis of TB meningitis, to be specific. As you can see here is a straight line. but no journey is a straight line. There's a lot of ups and downs. At first, I applied for a PhD, but I didn't get it in the first round. But then later, I was offered the opportunity to continue the PhD, offer the opportunity to conduct a PhD, which is I'm very thankful for my supervisor for that opportunity. So over the past 6 months, a little bit more than 6 months of my PhD journeys, this has gave me a very good vibe with great energy and motivations. As you can see here, OUCRU is a research organization. So our environment is based on our working environment is focused on research. We have very supportive, is friendly, and everybody is so friendly to each other and respect each other boundaries. I also get access to research facilities such as laboratory facility, diagnostic staff, a strong computer or high performance computing cluster to support the analysis. One important thing about OUCRU PhD is that it has a very balance for traveling. So personally for me, I got 1 or 2 travel per year. So that is the balance for me. So I can have, like kind of working in visiting different location, different place in the world while not spending too much time away from home. I also benefit a lot from the wide and strong network of OUCRU and the TB group in general, and got access to a lot of both local and international training. So if you are interested in pursuing a PhD, especially if you are a Vietnamese student, come knock us at OUCRU. And I'm happy to talk more if anyone is interested. My email is somewhere in my email is in the OUCRU website, but I think Lee can give you that to you as well. Yeah.
I absolutely can. Thank you so much, Can. If anyone wants to connect with Can individually, then please let us know at the training@oucru.org email address and we can connect you later. Thank you so much, Can, and thank you so much, Wynne, for giving us that flavour of what it's like to actually be a PhD student here at OUCRU. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the Q&A part of the session. Now, my colleague Kim has been frantically gathering all of your questions here. So there have been a lot of questions. As I said, this is probably the biggest audience we've had at our open day. So we're going to try and get through as much as we can. But if you do want to ask your question live, I would ask that you raise your hand, but I'm going to go through the questions that we had on the chat box already. So it may be that someone will have asked your question already. So it seems the majority of questions are focusing on requirements and also on the link to the Oxford University website. So I'll come to that in a second. But let's dive into some of the questions. So the first one was, can I apply for a PhD programme if I don't have much experience in doing research? Well, yes, of course you can, because if you think about it, if you come from a bachelor's and then a master's, it may be that your master's hasn't involved a lot of research. Okay, so we don't expect someone that's coming from a bachelor's or a master's to have published papers, for example. What we're looking for is enthusiasm, an understanding for the project, and a passion for what you want to do. Okay, so don't worry if you haven't had too many research opportunities just yet. We're looking for alignment to a research project, someone who has some knowledge and understanding and the passion to deliver that across 4 years. The second question, again, was about I am currently in my final year of master's programme. I'll graduate in August. I was doing a Master of Public Health, but it doesn't involve lab work. My research focuses on infectious diseases. Can I still apply? Yes, of course you can. Okay, so if you haven't been in a lab, but maybe you want to do a research project that has an aspect of public health, and also is developing new skills in the lab, you may very well be a successful candidate. Also remember that not all of our PhD projects are actually based in the lab. We have people doing projects on public engagement and community work. We have people doing computer-based projects. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean that any project is based either entirely or partly in the lab. Okay, is a research proposal an eligibility criteria for a PhD to apply, or do you need to ask the supervisor in advance? Well, there's two options here. Either you can wait and find out what research projects are going to be advertised, and that will happen in September. Or if you're feeling really passionate about a particular research question, then you will need to work with one of our supervisors to create a research proposal. And if that's the case, and you do have your own idea, you really should be approaching one of our supervisors now, because together you have to create a proposal for advertisement. Now, that does mean that other people could apply for your project, but that is important because our scholarships are competitive. Okay, so you have to be applying in an open process alongside everyone else so that we can properly assess the best candidates for the projects. So that's two routes: either wait and apply for an advertised project, or work with one of our supervisors to create a project that you're interested in. Where can you send your application, or how do I start the applying process? Well, what will happen is our projects will be posted on the NDM, so that's the Nuffield Department of Medicine website at Oxford University. Now, if you go onto OUCRU's webpage, you will see that there's a drop-down menu about studying. If you click on PhD projects, there's a link there to the Oxford NDM website. Okay, now there won't be any projects from OUCRU there at the moment, because it's still too early for us to post our projects. So you have to be a little bit patient. In September, you will be able to view those projects, consider them, and you will apply directly via that webpage. Okay, so you don't need to email your application to us. It's all done online. Okay, so there's an application form that you need to complete online. There is a formatted CV that you need to complete online, so you don't need to upload your own CV. The website will provide the questions and the sections for you to complete. For the project shown is the deadline for all of them in December. If you want to be considered for an OUCRU studentship, and bear in mind that covers tuition fees, salary, and money to travel and to enroll in training courses, the deadline for that scholarship is December. Okay, so yes, you do need to apply by December. Someone else is a laboratory technician with a number of years' experience working at an international school. They were concerned they didn't have any articles, and could they still apply for a programme? Yes, you can. It's not a prerequisite that you must have publications. So I do encourage you to apply. Next question: is the PhD diploma from OUCRU recognised in Vietnam as equivalent to a Vietnamese PhD? Now that's really interesting. Okay, so we're still currently working with the Vietnamese government to make sure that our PhDs are recognised. However, please note that internationally these PhDs are recognised. Okay, and all of our OUCRU postdocs here that have PhDs with OUCRU have been employed here. We have a number of our graduates working across the world. We have a number of our graduates working at the Hospital for Tropical Diseases. We have people working at NIHE. Okay, but I do recognise that there isn't necessarily a full formal recognition of our programme within Vietnam. So we have to be open and honest about that. We are working to try and change that. However, the quality of our PhDs is very high indeed, and that's been recognised by a number of other countries. We have someone who's a paediatrician based in Ho Chi Minh City, who's interested in autoantibodies and TB, on immunological aspects of infections. Yeah, I believe you have reached out to me already. I think it's very, very important to contact the TB group. Okay, so first up, I would contact Professor Tung. She's the head of the TB group. She actually has a background in immunology, so that would be the best person for you to speak to discuss a project on TB and immunology in more detail. We have someone here interested on public health and malaria. They were interested about requirements and deadlines. I've covered these in this session. We will be sharing the recording of this session later. Okay, if you do have any further questions about requirements and deadlines, you can contact us directly. If you are interested specifically on malaria, I would reach out to a member of the malaria team. So you can reach out to either Dr. Cho, who is the head of our malaria group, or you can reach out to the vice head of malaria, who's Dr. Nguyen. Okay. You can find their details on the OUCRU webpage. Does OUCRU open opportunities for non-infectious public health problems like mental health and quality of work, etc.? Our focus is on infectious diseases. Okay, so if the project did not have an aspect related to infectious disease, then no, we can't support a PhD on that topic. However, if you're interested in developing a project that maybe has an infectious disease angle, but is focused on mental health or healthcare and quality of work or interventions or implementation, but in the infectious disease field, then that might be possible. So it really is about reaching out to some of our researchers. We don't have any mental health professionals, unfortunately, but if you were interested in sort of social science side of things, then you could certainly contact the Social Science Implementation Research Group. There is a PhD ongoing in that team, and there is a student working on quality of end of life care. So not directly related to mental health, but it is an aspect that's slightly different. Okay, so again, it's about speaking to our groups directly. How many PhD students will be accepted for this year? Well, we have a number of fully funded scholarships. We usually fund 3 fully funded OUCRU scholarships a year. Okay, so it is very competitive, all right? But don't let that put you off applying. Are there roles or positions open to international applicants, or does it have to be based in the country where the position is offered? So our OUCRU PhD studentships are only for Vietnamese and Indonesian applicants. It's very much part of our capacity building effort, okay? The majority of our work does require the student to be based almost entirely in the country where the position is offered. This also makes it more difficult for international PhD students because, particularly in Vietnam, there are quite stringent regulations on visas for students. So our programme primarily is focused on local PhDs. Someone has asked, I hold an MSc in Biological Sciences and Technology from Taiwan. My strong interest is siRNA analysis of HIV and HPV, which is really interesting. So you would need to reach out to our team to find out if that's something related to that would be of interest to them. You have not passed the IELTS test yet. How long do I need? Well, we would prefer that you've passed the IELTS test before you apply. However, you could still apply and say that you have booked your IELTS test. We may still be able to consider your application, but it is stronger if you have an IELTS score already, okay? If your MSc has also been conducted in English, then you may ask for a waiver, although normally a waiver is granted for PhDs MScs or bachelors conducted in English-speaking countries, but it is something that you could put in your application form. But I do strongly encourage you to book an IELTS test as soon as you can. Somebody else has asked if there's only a few PhD themes available. That's true at the moment, okay, because we advertise our new themes from September onwards. That's why you won't be able to see any PhD themes there, particularly from Vietnam. There may still be some Indonesian themes there. But again, if you're interested in seeing more of the themes we've got, then they will start appearing in September. Someone else has graduated at UCL and they're also an immunologist. Lovely to see some immunologists. That's my background as well, actually. Are there any PhD opportunities at OUCRU Indonesia? Yes, there are. In fact, some of them we still have advertised. And the reason for that is because we have government funding streams in Indonesia where people may be successful at applying for them. So we keep our Indonesian themes advertised for a little bit longer. Are you applicable in applying for a project in Vietnam? Now, if you are Indonesian, the same applies in terms of visa. It can be very, very difficult to have you conduct a project in Vietnam. We also often need people with Vietnamese language skills, particularly if they're doing a project on social sciences or public engagement. So I would encourage you, if you're based in Indonesia, to apply for our Indonesian-based projects, and you will see more of them being advertised again from September. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Someone else is, lots of people studying in Japan for their masters. Oh, I think that was actually the same question about lab work. Could I apply for something even if I've not done lab work? Yes, you might be able to still do that even if you don't have research experience. And then the final question I have here is from a medical doctor based in Hanoi, interested in infectious diseases in pregnancy. Now that's really interesting. So if you were interested in that, have a think about if there's any particular infectious diseases, or you may want to reach out to a number of our groups and find out if that's maybe something that they could support. I don't know if we have any dengue research in pregnancy, for example. You do have one, see? So we just happen to have someone from dengue in the room. But it's really about asking the question. So if you've got a really key interest on a particular field, have a look at our website and see if there's any of the research groups there that may align with your interest, and drop them an email. If you don't know if you don't ask, right? So it's always better to reach out. Same person has also asked that they took the IELTS score in 2020. Should they retake? So 2020, we're now 5 years ago. However, you still could apply and share that IELTS certificate. Okay, usually we would expect an IELTS to be within 4 years, but since you're kind of close, I would say don't retake the exam yet. I would say submit the IELTS certificate and include a few sentences to say that you intend to resit for the IELTS again soon. Okay, we all know it's an expensive exam. Okay, so you could always submit your application, and then the university may insist that you retake that later, or they might be able to accept. Okay, so I would say submit the IELTS test results anyway. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come off the slideshow, the slide deck. So I'm just going to nip onto the chat box and see if there's any questions come through lately, or whether anyone would like to ask a question live. I see one here. That's a really good question. I believe you're from Indonesia, Putri. Can we do the PhD programme while still working in the hospital? So we actually have a number of PhD students who continue to do their PhD while doing their clinical work. Now, that's quite a tough thing to do. Got a clinician in the room, and I'm sure she will agree. It is possible. What we would need to be assured of is that the hospital can give you adequate time to complete your PhD. One way that we can manage that is to have a PhD that aligns quite nicely with some of the work or some of the specialisation that you already have at the hospital. So that just requires some discussion with the PhD supervisor. And we also ask the hospital to submit a letter to state that they are willing to support you during that time. Okay, so it is possible. So please do consider applying. I'm just quickly going through to see if there's any other questions jumping out. Okay, there's a question here about salary. Okay, so the salary is paid directly by OUCRU. Okay, so it's not paid by the university. When you apply, and that would happen in September onwards, that means you're going to be considered for the studentship. Okay, now you would be awarded the studentship and then you would enroll at the university. Okay, most of our students at the moment are enrolling through Oxford. Okay, if you were applying for a project later in the year, maybe there's a research group that's had a big pot of money for an international funder. Sometimes they want their PhD students to enrol quite quickly. They don't want to wait until December. Then they might come to me and ask whether they can enrol a student outside of the normal time frame. And at that stage, we would enrol that student through the Open University in the UK. But again, that doesn't relate to who pays the salary. Okay, the salary is paid by OUCRU. All right. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions. I've answered that one. Oh, there's somebody asking about pharmacometrics here. So pharmacometrics isn't really something that we've got a major focus on in OUCRU Vietnam. However, we do have a sister unit in Thailand and they do have a pharmacometrics team. So it could be that they might advertise for a project if you were interested in studying in Thailand. Maybe they're going to advertise a project from, again, on the same website from September onwards. Or it might be possible, because you mentioned modelling there as well, that you could speak to our modelling team, and it could be that you could put together a PhD project that had an aspect of pharmacometrics, and that might require some collaboration with the team in Thailand. But I think your first port of call still would be contacting our modelling group. Okay. And I think that probably covers much of the questions. We will be sharing the recording of this again later. If you have any further questions, you can continue to contact us later at the training@oucru.org email address. If you want further information, you can go to our website, which is oucru.org, or you can scan the QR code, which will also take you to our website. You can see here that there is a drop-down menu about studying. So you can go to that drop-down menu and access PhD studies on that menu to find out more. You can also follow OUCRU on Facebook or on Blue Sky. Okay, so you might want to follow us on social media as well. But otherwise, I'm going to say thank you for joining today. Okay, we're going to close the session. I noticed there's been a couple of very last minute questions, but if you could please email them to me now. So you can email at training@oucru.org. Okay, and we look forward to speaking with you further. Good luck in your further studies and your future work. And we hope to support you at OUCRU soon. Thank you, everyone.